friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a detailed comparison of two mid-range smartphones, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 Pro with the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So these two are really great smartphones in the sub 15k price segment, with the Redmi Note 7 Pro priced 13,999, while the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 was priced 14,999 for the 4GB RAM variant. The pricing has been cut down now to 11,999. That means almost 2k difference between these two devices now. So we'll compare based on the new prices which have been in effect from yesterday. So that's the new pricing. So in this video we'll do a detailed analysis on which all areas these two smartphones excel. Let's get started. First up, let's have a look at the design and build quality. So design wise, you can see that the front panel looks quite similar, but then there are two differences here. One is the notch on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is smaller, while it's wider on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2, and also the bottom chin on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is slightly smaller than the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So these two factors combined, we feel the front panel design definitely looks better on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Now if you look at the back panel, so this is one area where the Redmi Note 7 Pro takes the lead with glass finishing. You can see it feels a bit more premium looking than the Zenfone Max Pro M2, which is a plastic material but definitely gives a good feel. So in terms of the design and build quality, probably our choice would be the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So now moving on to the display. Now both the phones have Full HD Plus resolution display. We have a 6.3 inches Full HD Plus resolution display on the Redmi Note 7 Pro with Gorilla Glass support. That's a Gorilla Glass 5 support, while we have a 6.26 inches display on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 with Gorilla Glass 6 support. Now the display quality looks pretty good on both the phones, but we feel the display quality is slightly better here on the Redmi Note 7 Pro because it feels a bit more crispier and sharper than the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. The Zenfone Max Pro M2 definitely has an edge in terms of the Gorilla Glass protection. It has the latest Gorilla Glass 6 version, while it's Gorilla Glass 5 on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So that's the display aspect. Now let's move on to the software. So this is one area where these two devices differs a lot. We have the Android 9.0 with the MIUI 10 on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, while we have Android 8.0 with the Asus custom UI, which is more or less like stock Android. Now if you're a person who wants the latest version of Android, then the Redmi Note 7 Pro is a choice right now, because the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 hasn't got the Android 9.0 update, although it's promised to be arriving pretty soon. So if you want the latest version, definitely go for the Redmi Note 7 Pro as of now. Now the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 has an advantage that it has a stock like UI. So if you're a person who loves stock like Android, then you should be looking at the Zenfone Max Pro M2. But if you're a person who loves a lot of customizations, tweaks and other options, then the MIUI offers those features. So here we feel it's more of a personal choice, but then right now the Redmi Note 7 Pro definitely has an advantage because it has Android 9.0. Now talking about the performance, so here we feel both are pretty good and powerful chipsets. So we have the Snapdragon 675 octa-core chipset. It's a relatively new chipset on the Redmi Note 7 Pro with 4GB RAM and 64GB storage, while we have the Snapdragon 660 octa-core chipset with 4GB RAM and 64GB storage on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. In terms of the day-to-day performance, we feel both the devices are equally responsive and does the job pretty well without any sort of lags or issues. But looking at the raw performance, we feel the Redmi Note 7 Pro definitely has an advantage with the Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 675, which is made of custom core, so it is definitely more powerful than the Snapdragon 660. But when it comes to gaming, that's where the Redmi Note 7 Pro has a slight disadvantage, because games are really not optimized for Snapdragon 675, and we could see a lot of lag and issues with both Asphalt 9 and PUBG like heavy games. But on the other hand, the Snapdragon 660 is tried and tested chipset, so gaming was a bit more smoother on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. But we expect this to be fixed in future updates, so it won't be too much long, because the Snapdragon 675 is a really powerful chipset, and we are sure that those issues would be fixed pretty soon. Now talking about the other aspects, both the devices have fingerprint scanners on the back panel, and both are equally fast. Both have face unlock. We feel the face unlock on the Redmi Note 7 Pro was a tad faster than the Zenfone Max Pro M2. Now both these devices have dual SIM cards, 4G LTE and voltage support. Additionally, we have P2I coating on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, which gives a splash resistant option to the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Now moving on to the camera performance. So we have a dual camera setup on both the phones. We have a 48 megapixel sensor, that's a Sony IMX sensor on the Redmi Note 7 Pro with a secondary 5 megapixel shooter, while we have a 12 megapixel rear camera on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 with 5 megapixel secondary depth sensing camera. Now the front camera is a 16 megapixel shooter on both the phones. Now talking about the camera performance, so this is one area where the Redmi Note 7 Pro takes the lead with the 48 megapixel shooter, getting you best details and great quality in photos. The colors are good. The Zenfone Max Pro M2 isn't bad either, but the amount of details the Redmi Note 7 Pro camera takes is really incredible, and the 48 megapixel shows real strength here, and even the low light performance was great on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Low light performance is not a great strength of the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So in terms of rear camera performance, we feel the Redmi Note 7 Pro definitely has an edge. Now in terms of selfie experience, we feel both are equally good. Again, selfies are more of personal choice. We would leave it to your viewers to decide which selfie they like, but we feel the Zenfone Max Pro M2 selfies look definitely good and slightly better than the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Now both the phones have 4K recording and EIS enabled. Both are quite good in terms of the camera recording as well. So overall, in terms of the camera performance, we feel the Redmi Note 7 Pro has the advantage. Now finally, the battery performance. So we have a 4000 mAh capacity battery with fast charging supported on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, while we have a 5000 mAh capacity battery on the Zenfone Max Pro M2 without the fast charging option. Now battery performance definitely is better on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 with more capacity, but you do get fast charging, but the bundle charger is not a fast charger on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. But if you have a fast charger at home, the Redmi Note 7 Pro charges much faster, so that is an advantage. But overall battery performance was better on the Zenfone Max Pro M2 because of the additional capacity. So that was the detailed comparison of these two devices. So if you look at the 464 variant of these two phones, we have 13,999 pricing, that's 14K on for the Redmi Note 7 Pro, while it's 11,999, that's 12K for the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. Now Zenfone Max Pro M2 is definitely a great value at 12K pricing. You get large capacity battery, good display, Gorilla Glass, stock Android, good performance, good gaming, etc. The cameras are kind of okay, but still it's a good package. Now if you want a great build quality, stylish looks, better display, then customizable software, better cameras, and overall slightly better processor, even though the gaming was not that great, the Redmi Note 7 Pro makes much better choice. But out of these two devices, it's hard to pick one, because with the new pricing, the Zenfone Max Pro M2 is even better, because 12K pricing, you get the Snapdragon 660 and offers a good battery life as well. So we'll leave it to your viewers to decide based on their priority. But if you're looking for camera and stylish looks along with the latest Android version, the Redmi Note 7 Pro is a better device. So that was a detailed comparison of these two devices. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit the red subscribe button for more videos. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.